let's
help me, Dr. Zayas.
Dr. Zayas, Dr. Zayas.
Dr.
Zayas, Dr. Zayas. Dr. Zayas, Dr. Zayas.
Oh, Dr. Zayas.
Dr. Zayas, Dr. Zayas.
Can I play the piano anymore?
Well, of course you can.
But I couldn't before. That's what the show is tonight. We're just going to quote Simpsons singing episodes.
All right.
Yeah. Oh, man, my Twitter's still open from when I tweeted.
That's officially the start of the show because I'm recording at this point. So.
Oh, okay.
You're welcome,
then,
YouTube. Sorry, that's where the show begins.
Yeah, sorry.
I jumped the gun, thought Ben was going to start, and now we're singing.
You were talking to people in the chat room and doing stuff, and
I don't remember.
Fine. I'll just look.
My desk has crumbs on it. That's disconcerting.
I'm going to stop my pre-show, make sure the sound levels are okay recording, and then I'll start the actual show. How does that sound?
Okay.
Okay.
Wait, was I supposed to stop the recording? Was that the plan?
No. I was stopping my sound recording because I record us at the beginning to check levels. And then I stop it and then start it over again so I don't have to search forever trying to find where the show started.
Do I have to do anything right now, Ben?
As long as you're recording, you're fine.
Okay.
Welcome to Azeroth Roundtable, episode 337. My name is Ben Bumhofer, and with me, returning successfully after being tied up and forced to play some World of Warcraft, is John Jagger. How's it going, John?
Hello, Ben! It's Friday the 13th here in Azeroth, and I'm happy to be joining you at the round table because, Ben, guess what? Even though I was tied up, even though I was forced to play World of Warcraft, I had a damn good time. So we're going to talk about it because it was fun. I've been playing a lot, actually.
Oh, good.
And it wasn't just because you used ropes.
I know. They were pretty good, too. I also used bungee cords. Anyways, okay, so this is actually going to be the episode. I don't want to talk about any WoW at all. We're actually going to be talking about textiles and where they are imported from.
You know, I used to always have a hard time with textiles because they dropped the word textiles on us in 3rd grade.
Yeah,
maybe even 2nd. And they did not feel the need to explain what those were to me. Just that was something that was imported and exported. Which, first of all, let's go on further to say they dropped import and export on me. And I'm like, I'm in 3rd grade. And they're like, yeah, import and export. You know what else they imported and exported? I was like, I don't even know what those words mean. And they turned around and said, textiles. I was like, I don't...
And then they're like... tariffs and taxation, and I'm like, it's 3rd grade.
Yeah. I don't know what these words mean. You made them up.
You know what? I bet there are some words that you do know what they mean. Let's go back and actually talk about World of Warcraft.
Okay. I wonder how long people thought we were going to keep up the textiles route.
Look, if this is the first time they listen to the show, maybe a while. If not, then they know. Actually, considering we've gone off on Taco Bell for a while, there's a good chance that,
Someone was like, John played WoW? He's going to actually talk about it. He had fun. He's going to be positive. And they're talking about textiles. Okay. Azeroth Roundtable, still very much the show I thought it was.
Yep. That's why we have all those 1-star reviews lately.
That's not why.
Anyways, so, okay. I'm actually really excited the fact that you have been able to get in and spend some time. Because, I mean, truth be told, you have limited amount of time outside of, just doing the show. You have a lot of things going on. That's partially why you don't play as much as you used to. Of course, finding the engaging content is another reason why you haven't played as much as you used to.
Right.
We've gone back and forth on Classic. I know that the last time you were actually on the show, 2 episodes ago, like right after, like maybe within minutes from when we were done, you're like, I'm in Classic. So,
yep, that's true.
Like, I also know that I saw a tweet where you're all like, talking about WoW now, and I just want to know, like, have you been like kind of balancing the time? Like, tell me what's been going on. What have you been doing?
All right, well, let's start at the beginning. 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, we ended this show. I thought, there's my microphone, there's my keyboard, I'm all set up. I'm still here, I'm still ready to go. Careful, Ben, don't spill. And so I thought, let's...
You thought that while you were setting up?
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you.
I love that that was purely a visual thing. Podcasters are like...
really full, so
I noticed that. That was a very full cup. For the podcast listeners, Ben took a moment to sip from a tracer mug. John noticed that the mug was very full and near spilling. He watched Ben try and navigate the coffee, and growing concerned in the middle of his story, he brought the show to a screeching halt to warn his friend. You're caught up.
Almost made him choke.
Yeah, then Ben laughed, and it was bad. But, so, I thought, well, I'm already set up to stream. Let's get into WoW Classic. Let's see what's going on. So I jumped in, and I got on an undead rogue called Kleos. It stands for Classic Eos.
Okay.
I, of course, couldn't get any of my names. So, I got in there, and I started playing, and you know what? I had a good time. What I have learned from Classic is that my memory of Classic is pretty good.
Okay.
For a lot of people, I know this has been a big moment of like, oh my gosh, I remember this. I remember this. Oh geez. For me, it's been a lot of, yep. this is exactly how I remember it. The thing that's been interesting has been finding out what muscle memory has built up over time with current WoW, because I would get a quest and hit M, and up would pop up a map that did nothing for me. I was just like,
"Hey, it's where I am."
Yep, there's the map. There it is, and so it was very much a like. It was interesting to realize that had developed because. In current WoW, that's just a habit, right? And I think a lot of us probably have it. We get a quest, we hit M, we see, okay, where am I supposed to go? What am I supposed to do? Map, tell me. In fact, I would even say, because Classic has made me a little more aware to look for these things, that Blizzard knows you're doing that now. Because if you go and you look at the quest text provided in a lot of quests nowadays, they don't even get into that.
Oh, I know.
They're just like, you know what? We know you're going to hit M. We know you're going to go where the waypoint is. Like, we're just going to say,
help!
Here's the story.
My son has been kidnapped. Orc raiders took him in the middle of the night. Go find him.
Yeah, exactly. Like, they don't give you all that information, which is kind of good. And I don't know, case could be made that it's bad, but, so that was probably the first thing that I really got into in Classic, and I was like, man, look at these weird habits that I have formed from the current game. But I was able to run around, and then I met up with Bo, who was also playing Classic.
Cool.
We formed a rogue kill squad, which basically consisted of he would sneak up, and he would stab the enemy in the back, and the enemy would naturally start fighting him, and then I would be behind them, and I would stab them in the back, then the enemy would go, oh, and turn around and face me, and then he would stab them in the back, and usually they were dead by that point. So...
But you know what? That's efficient. That's efficiency.
We called it the Julius Caesar method of leveling. And it was fun. It was a very, very good time. It reminded me very much of the things that I liked about that era and that time in WoW. And you and I have talked a lot about like what lessons can be pulled from that old experience. And it's funny because I had so many ideas these past couple weeks, if you listen to the things I say, and it was all over the place. I was like, I don't know. I feel like there is something there, but I don't know. Having gotten in and played it, I think the biggest thing is pacing.
Okay.
Like, I got into Classic, and I know this isn't going to be true for everybody because there are people that are just racing to raid, or there's the whole race to see who's going to hit 60 first. And all of that. But for me, it was just chill. Don't be in a rush. This isn't going anywhere. Just go do what you're going to do. And if you want to get sidetracked or go do this other thing, that's fine. Very lackadaisical attitude to the whole affair.
Yeah,
So
makes sense.
I feel like that is something that's very, 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 very heavily focused on in Classic, at least for me. And that kind of is what got me into the current game more.
Oh, really?
Because then what happened was, I ended that stream, and I thought, man, I want to stream more. Maybe I'll just stream, whenever I'm playing WoW Classic. I'll just make that a streaming game for me. And then the weekend came, and I wanted to play World of Warcraft. Like, Classic had scratched that itch, and I was like, no, you know what? It's a great, comfort food kind of game. I want to play it. I want to get into it. And I was sitting there kind of craving it, but I wanted to watch Netflix or something. Something came out over the weekend, and I was like, I want to watch this. Well, I'm not going to stream and watch a show, so I guess I'm not streaming. All right, well, I want to play WoW. I want to watch a thing. I'm going to stream Classic, so I guess I'll just get in and play the current game. And when I got in, that sense of like, oh my gosh, all my guildies are leaving me behind. I'm so far behind the curve. Like, oh, I got to get relevant in the content. I'm so many patches behind. For some reason, that was just gone. And I don't know if that was because I had just been in Classic where everything was slower and I wasn't in a rush or anything like that, or if I've just waited so long to engage with that content that it was inevitable. Because I think for a lot of people who come back, they come back on a patch. Like, we're doing this patch. So you come in and you go, I have to experience that patch. So you feel behind because you're also aware of the 2 other patches you didn't do anything with or whatever. So yeah, you kind of are still in that race. I don't know if now, because it's so long into the current patch, there isn't another patch yet. Why am I rushing? Who cares? So I went in with a very just whatever kind of attitude and did a bunch of stuff in Najatar, and then went to Mechagon finally. Fell in love with Mechagon.
I knew you would.
It took a bit. It didn't take that long. I went out to a platform and I was like, what's this? Right click, and it's like, we want items, and I don't know if they're rare or not. So I'm like, okay, feed items. And then it's like, you want jetpack? And I was like, yeah. Yeah, I do want a jetpack, actually. So I click it, and it's like, all right, cool. You got a jetpack. Double jump and you'll fly. And I'm like, okay, for how long? 20 minutes. Oh. And like, how is it limited? Not really. I mean, there's a ship that'll make you land if you're under it, but go ahead, just fly. I was like, what? Why are they being so nice to me? It was this really weird kind of moment, and I was just like, this is amazing. So I darted around, did that, and then next thing I knew, I was pulled into the rep grind of both of those. Definitely more one than the other, but yeah, and it's been the only game I've played pretty much for the week, besides a couple other things here and there.
So you haven't played Classic since 2 weeks ago then?
Nope.
Okay.
So I keep telling myself I will, but now I've got all this stuff in current WoW to do and WoW now to do. So I'm just sitting there like, yeah, I could go play Classic, but I've got things that I need to do, that I need to keep progressing and moving forward. I've got that itch now. So not right now.
So, I mean, I definitely want to dig into this more, but the first real question is, do you think that it's because you're playing at a time when not everybody's like rushing to get through the content and everything? Like, that same sort of pacing that you felt with Classic, the fact that you're not feeling that with the current patch in, current WoW. Do you think that that's the big reason why it's really drawing you in, is that you don't have that like overarching, you've got to do this?
Yeah, it definitely helps. I mean, I think it's kind of, there's sort of a damned if you do, damned if you don't with gated content. And I mean, like, let's throw out for a moment for the discussion, the gated content is gated to prevent you from seeing too much of it too fast. That's obviously the primary reason it exists. It's the reason that I think is personally bad. I happen to know that my stance on that is probably pretty controversial if you're a developer, because I will say this: players should be in charge of deciding what their pace is at their own detriment. If they eat up your content too fast and run out of it, and they unsub from your game, that's on them. That's not on you. Like, it's not your job to hold their hand. And I know corporate-wise, they're probably like, but we want that money every week. That's a terrible idea. And I mean, get it.
Is keep everybody in the game every single second that you possibly can is that corporate mentality behind it.
I get it, but I'm a player and I don't care. Like, that's not my problem to solve. That's your problem to solve, Blizzard. I'm telling you I hate gated content. So we're at an impasse. One of us is going to break at some point. I guess it's me because I'm playing right now.
It's already been you.
But let's throw that logic out. Let's focus on it just from this standpoint. We want to make Mechagon interesting every day. And the way we make Mechagon interesting every day is by rotating what is available to do. And the same process, I'm picking Mechagon because I have more experience there. I still haven't really figured out how Nazjatar works. Like, it kind of just, and this is probably exactly what it is, but it seems like such a boring, awful thing that I can't believe this is really it. It seems like a place where you just go do dailies.
And it's funny because that's how I see Mechagon. That's exactly how I see Mechagon. Like, granted, I see Nazjatar like that too, but I mean, like, okay, so Nazjatar is, here's a ton of different places to go and do things that we are telling you where they are. And so you go and you get very little rep, and that's kind of what you do. Whereas Mechagon is, hey, there's one world quest here, but there's also dailies, which I don't care what anybody says, it's the same exact freaking thing. A world quest and a daily is the same thing. It's just a daily changes every day, where a world quest changes every couple days. So you can call world quest multi-dailies. Same thing. Okay. Don't care. So you go to Mechagon, there's just a few, not like a bunch like in Nazjatar. There's just a few. You get a bunch more rep for doing those.
Yeah.
And then that's it. They're the same exact zone. It's just they're showing you how to do things differently, and one of them is technically more rewarding than the other.
Okay.
At least that's how I see it.
So, I mean, no, you're not wrong. I think for somebody who doesn't like world quests and doesn't like dailies, doing fewer and getting more for it is instantly going to be more appealing. Also, Mechagon is 1,000 times better of a zone. I reserve the right to change my mind on this as soon as I get flying, but Nazjatar is bullshit city if you don't have flying. Oh my gosh, that place sucks super hard. I hate it. Like, finding the motivation to go do a daily there is next to impossible for me. It's a lot of just looking and sighing, and it's almost like somebody went through and scientifically pinpointed how far away can we make the nearest flight point to where you have to go to do the thing to make it just soul-crushing to want to fly there.
Well, and the thing is I totally agree with you on that. Totally agree. The funny thing is, and this was actually brought up in our Discord like a while ago, is that if you think about it, Nazjatar is a place where people lived underwater. So they technically have flying. So of course it's not designed to, actually be running around on the ground because you can swim. Water's removed. It's the worst way of getting around. But then you add flying back in and it's perfectly fine.
Yeah. And I mean, sure, from a lore perspective, it makes sense.
I get that. No, that's not me defending it. Okay. I'm just saying it's a creative way of making the zone, but it's still horrible to navigate on the ground. I get that, and I'm right there with you on that one.
I would have almost preferred Mechagon lead into Nazjatar. I know story-wise it wouldn't make any sense, but it already doesn't, so who cares? Yeah. but like have Mechagon lead into Nazjatar, and you unlock flying just from the rep in Mechagon, so that you could have it from the outset with Nazjatar, because I feel like that is the hurdle for me. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just sitting there and I'm just like, oh, if I could just fly, or give us the freaking jetpacks in Nazjatar.
Yeah.
You gave me a jetpack for Mechagon where I didn't really need it, and then didn't give me anything for Nazjatar where it would be wonderful to have.
Well, I will say that. How do you feel about Mechagon when you don't have a jetpack?
I'm
definitely plenty of times where you don't have those.
I'm definitely sadder. Like, I'm like, oh, there's no jetpack today, but I'm not soul crushed. Now, I will say that this all gets a little trickier because I do play the best class. So, like, having enemies between me and aggroing them is not a big deal. Like, if I want to go from point A to point B and I can't fly, I just ride right through it. And I'll pull a million things. I don't care if I'm going 10 feet. I'll ride through 30 things to go 10 feet, and then I just go, and then they all train back where they're supposed to go, and now it's just me and the thing I went there to fight.
Stop for a second. Imagine if you couldn't go, and you had to kill everything along the way, and it gave you just, maybe some spare parts.
Yeah, I mean, I would hate both zones in that case.
Yeah.
I would hate World of Warcraft if I couldn't play as the best class. The expansion where they remove rogues is definitely where I unsub. Like, here, BlizzCon prediction. They remove rogues from the game. That's the end of me on this show.
So what you're saying is you wouldn't switch to a feral druid?
No. Hell no.
I mean, I know how you feel about druids, but, just double checking. Double checking on that.
Anyway, I feel like I got off topic here, but the point is, okay, so we were talking about dailies and world quests and cycling and all of that. So I feel like the whole, like, changing the quests and having something new every single day is really an attempt for them to make a zone that could be tedious being the same zone every single day, week after week, exciting from week to week. And for the most part, it kind of does do that. I mean, I found myself getting excited whenever Wowhead posted, like, hey, here's what you're doing in Mechagon this week, or today. And I'm like, what am I doing in Mechagon this week? Today.
Really?
I keep forgetting. Yeah, I'm excited about it.
Well, first of all, I'm really happy for you. That is so amazing, and I'm glad you love it so much. I really am.
That sounds super good.
I don't know what it is about that, and, like, Timeless Isle is... They never grab me. Like, this right here is the perfect example of Blizzard has people who like different things, and they make a game for everybody as much as they can. That's it perfectly. I preferred Nazjatar just because I felt like there was more to do, but again, it was less rewarding. Mechagon is a place where, because I'm not playing a rogue, it's a pain in the butt, and I hate it. And it just blows my mind that it's such a different experience for everybody involved, because from what I know, the majority of people love Mechagon, and I just don't see it. And I've gone through and I've done like multiple times of all the different dailies, and I mean, they're just go kill stuff.
Yeah. You know what it is? You know what it is? It is a countdown. So, like, one of the things that happened a lot in Lich King and Pandaria with dailies was you went there and they were like, here's your 4 quests. And you were like, oh, okay, 4 daily quests, not bad. I did them. And it's like, oh, miraculously, by it being your first time here and doing it, you're now friendly, or, you hit your first rank, and you're like, oh, and they're like, look, here's 2 more dailies. And you were like, oh, I have 2 more things I can do now. Okay. And then you hit your next rank up, and they're like, what would you say to 4 more dailies? I was like, that's a lot of dailies, I guess. I guess we're ramping up to more dailies. Okay. And then, like, you've unlocked more dailies. And it's like, stop. No. I'm at my limit for dailies. Mechagon, for me, is a countdown. When I first got there, I had to do everything. I wanted to kill every rare. I wanted to camp everywhere. I wanted to be there for everything that existed. I wanted to make sure I got to get this. I got to get this. I wanted to kill a bunch of stuff to get as many spare parts and items as I could. I needed to do this and this and this. And then I started getting the big drops from certain things. Like, oh, you fight this to get this. I have it. I don't need to fight that thing anymore. When I'm jetpacking around, I don't have to go over there. I don't have to fight that thing. Now I've got this. All right, scratch it. It's off the list. Don't need it. I can paint my Battle Cat 5 different colors at this point. Like, don't need to worry about any of the mobs that drop those 5 different colors.
You are lucky, because I can paint it 1 color. Maybe 2.
You know, and then on top of that, not even everything is active every single day. And not everything is active all the time, so I can go over and go, oh, it's not raining over here right now. Well, this is when I'm playing, so I'm not going to worry about any of the things that only appear in the rain. So off we go. We'll do something different. And it's been a countdown. My reward for spending more time in Mechagon is that I don't have to spend as much time in Mechagon. I can focus, and I can reclaim that time for other things that I might want to do. And I know that that probably actually sounds like an insult or a diss on Mechagon, but it isn't, because then I can put the precious time that I have to play World of Warcraft 100% focused into Nazjatar, because I need 100% focus to get through the slog nightmare that place is. And if I don't have to go to Mechagon, that's easier to do. Like, okay. All right, I can force myself to do this. I can get through this. And it's a ramp down. Nazjatar doesn't feel like that. Nazjatar's like, it's the same thing every day. And I'm like, okay, I guess I gotta make this stupid goblin like me a little bit more.
And I will give you that, is that there's not, even though there's a ton to do in Nazjatar, there's not enough variety. And I think that that's one of the places where it's kind of lacking, because it's like, okay, well, then there's daily quests to get your goblin person to like you and stuff, which I kind of stopped doing that. She's at level 11. I'm like, I'm kind of good. We're done with that. I got exalted with the Unshackled and everything, so I'm like, okay, cool. I never have to go back there again. If I want to, work on her rep, I can do that, but I don't really feel like it. Although I will say that playing Bejeweled and Uncross the Ley Lines is my absolute favorite things to do there.
Yeah, those are fine. Yeah.
And so once you get flying, and if you're trying to get exalted, just wait till the days when it's like, oh, hey, it's the emissary for the Unshackled. Then just do those 3 or 4 of those that are up. You're good.
Yeah.
It's the best way to do Nazjatar. I will give you that. But it's like, now that I'm exalted, I'm like, okay, I've got to go back to Mechagon and start working on this stuff again. And so I'm going to go and I'm going to do whatever the world quest is there for the day, because that's going to get me the most rep, and then probably just kind of stop. I don't have, I don't know, the want to really, go and hunt and find the rares and get every single thing. Like, I know Ro has been waiting for 1 drop so that he can get the General Grievous mono cycle thing, which, I mean, it's a cool mount, but the patience that he's had to try to go through and get every drop and do everything for that and everything, God bless him. And I really hope he gets
that. That's the other thing, though, is most of it, once you get the loot hit for the day, you're done. I just, one of the things that I'm always sitting on this show talking about is respect my time. WoW, not everybody wants to spend 8 hours a day on you. Some of us want to get in, maybe spend an hour playing and move on with our lives. And I feel like Mechagon respects that, in that, all right, well, I tried and I didn't get the thing I wanted, and now I don't have to worry about it today.
Yeah,
I don't have to farm anything. I can just go on with my life. And so to me, it's been rewarding in that way. To me, it's been rewarding in the way of kind of reclaiming, time and investment and stuff like that. And that's just really worked for me. And honestly, it might speak a little bit even to that classic mentality, because a part of what made classic so appealing was knowing that goalpost wasn't moving. That, this is what I have to do. And, I'm getting closer to it. It's not that every day is a new set that I got to do everything for. It's rolling back piece by piece by piece And eventually there'll be a time where I've, at least as far as I've considered it, beat Mechagon. And I'm done.
Yeah.
And that's going to feel great. And I'm going to be like, man, that was rewarding. Whereas Nazjatar, even if I get into it, even if I get flying and I can fly around and do the dailies and all of that, I'm not going to beat Nazjatar. I'll rep up. But there's always going to be, and some of this is true to Mechagon too, but there's always going to be, like, it's still the same zone. It's still just offering you dailies every day, every day, every day. Here's more, here's more. Just like all the other zones. And just eventually one day, the difference is I just don't ever go back. Yeah. And whereas at least in theory with Mechagon, there's a point where I'm like, no, this is it. This was the day. I'm good. Peace, Mechagon. See ya. And it's going to feel good. And even though I'm, like, looking forward to not ever going back, like, that's what beating a game is. Like,
oh, yeah.
Video games are about getting to the end. So I understand that it sounds weird to be like, I love Mechagon. I can't wait to never go there again. But essentially all I'm saying is just, like, I'm excited to beat it. I'm excited to move on to whatever's next.
Yeah, no, I totally get that too. I mean, as someone who just, you know, I've tried to like Mechagon as much as I can, especially since everyone is telling about everything, about how great it is and how much they love it and everything. I've been there with, you know, with people doing stuff, and I'm just still kind of like, okay, it's, oh, this other rare, so let's go over here really quick, so make sure that we are able to tag it and stuff, or let's work on these dailies and everything. I'm just like, okay, and I don't know. I really think at this point that it comes down to, and you're going to love me saying this, but I'm playing the wrong spec. Maybe not the wrong class. You're going to say it's the wrong class, but it's the wrong spec for any sort of, you know, enjoyment for doing things. Being a healer just isn't the way to do it, I guess. And it's kind of a bummer because, you know, that's what I'm enjoying doing.
Right.
You know, and it doesn't mean that I only enjoy the game if I'm in raid, or I'm only enjoying game if I'm like in a group or something like that. There should be, and I have no idea how they can possibly balance it, but there should be aspects of every single play style that, you know, should be involved in this so that it's enjoyable for everybody. Because, I mean, if you think about it, tanks, they've got no problem. They're still doing damage and destroying stuff. You know, they're just not killing stuff as fast. Healers don't really do a ton of damage. It's not their build at all. And so when it takes me 10 mobs to go through to get to the one place I need to be, it eats up a ton of time. And right there, if I'm not flying on Mechagon, I don't want to do it because, you know, if I've got to run up there and 20 things jump on me. Like I was just working on some rep the other day, and I have flying, but it was a quest where I had to go and get like mechanical limbs. And so I'd go and, you know, try to dig something out. And then if it's something that attacks me, great, I'm attacking it. And then 3 more things jump on me. It just doesn't work all that well, and I can't kill them super fast. So I guess I'm just playing the wrong game.
I don't know. I mean, like, it's hard to figure out because, you know, I will say you're not wrong. Like, Mechagon dailies are, generally speaking, it's a lot of... I mean, there's a couple where it's like, click the thing, but you'll probably be attacked while you do it. Or, you know, there's a couple...
Getting the ooze off the pipe, that one's a good one. Generally, right. I don't have to kill too much around there.
But, like, it definitely does sound like that, right? Because you're even talking about Nazjatar, and you're like, there's the Bejeweled and the unwinding the strands. Like, clearly...
playing as Murky? Those are fun.
Playing Heroes of the Storm, you know, like we've all made that choice. So it is one of those things where, like, you know, I wonder what could possibly be done. I mean, I think Blizzard's argument would probably be, and here's the thing, I'm going to present this as definitely a devil's advocate because my feelings on spec is I'm this spec. I picked it for a reason. It's what I want to be, and that's it.
Yeah. And I have an idea. I know where you're going with this, but go for it.
That said, I have a feeling that Blizzard's answer to, well, it's not fun to fight, and you put in a bunch of fighting stuff, is, yeah, but we made it really easy to change specs.
Yep, that's exactly, like, I'm sure that's what the answer is. But then at that point, if I really, really wanted to, put time and effort into that in order to do it, I have to have a second set of gear on me. That's bag space that I don't want to take up with just random extra bits of gear.
Do you, though? I mean, like, to just get through Mechagon and do the fights and be more successful than you are as a healer, do you really need... Do you really
I don't
need
know.
different
Honestly,
gear?
I haven't turned into a Windwalker this expansion yet. I've been Mistweaver this entire time.
All right, well, there's your homework, if you so choose.
I don't, though. That's the thing. I don't.
Because I don't think you would need new gear. That would be my guess.
Not.
I mean, because it's not that you need to be top of the DPS charts. It's you need to be better at fighting things than you are as a Mistweaver. But
yeah, okay. So Mew in the chat room, who is a huge altaholic, plays a lot of different specs and characters and stuff, says, I would need another weapon, another set of Azurite armor, at least 2 pieces, and then 2 trinkets. So that's a few pieces of gear, and granted, it's really easy to get, especially if you're at my item level. Because all I have to do is go find world quests that drop those things, and boom, right there.
Or spend pearls. I mean, like, here's the thing.
Oh, I'm not spending pearls. I'm saving those. I'm going to be buried with every single one of those pearls. I'm going to have a pyramid of pearls as my tomb.
Jeez.
I don't know.
I almost, not to throw shade at Mew, he would know better than me, but I disagree with him. Again, the barrier you need to clear is not, I need to be really relevant on the DPS charts. You need to clear, I'm better at fighting than my current healing spec at this. Well, that's a low damn bar. So I kind of think you don't need that much, but to wind it all the way back, I am a firm believer that people should not be forced to change their spec at any point. I think people should be able to plant their flag in the ground and say, I'm this is what my character is. You know, to me, Blizzard telling you, oh, you have to change your spec is not far off. It's not the same, but not far off from saying, oh, you should just roll a different class.
Yeah. Well, and that's how I see it, kind of. But I mean, it comes down to that's just how the way the game is designed. Yeah. So if I'm complaining, it's just because I'm not playing how it's intended.
Yeah.
And that's kind of on me.
Yeah,
but I'm still gonna sit by it, and I think it's a legitimate thing to talk about.
Yeah, I think so too. You know, I don't know what the solution is. I mean, they could put in spec dailies. Here's a fighting thing. Here's a tanking thing. Here's a healing thing. But
that's not going to happen. That's like tripling all their work. And the thing is you still need to have the world populated with things. So it doesn't work as well.
And you want healers and all of that around. So I don't know. It's a tricky conundrum, I would say.
Well, and the funny thing is, too, is that in a place like Mechagon, there is no reason for a healer to be there. Like, okay, the rares, there's so many people on the rares, who cares? You know, a tank might die, but from what I've seen, no, it doesn't happen.
So, Mew brought up something that's going to transition my discussion, because I want to ask you a legitimate question here, Ben.
Okay.
Did somebody not tell Blizzard that they were taking our artifact weapons away from us? Because Blizzard seems to think that I've got really, pardon my language, you're going to have to censor it here, fucking great weapons, and I don't. I have piece of shit weapons, and they are in absolutely no hurry whatsoever to give me something better. It's ridiculous. Like, if you want me to, like, really forget everything I've ever complained about this expansion, here's the worst. Where the hell are the weapons, Blizzard? What the hell are you doing? Like, maybe I've just been speaking too kindly about the game now, and all that quiet rage that's in the background is boiling over. Maybe it's the fact that I play a rogue that, like, I'm super weapon dependent. They keep throwing boots and shit at me. I don't need any of it. Just give me decent weapons. And it has been a pain in the butt to get better weapons.
Rogues have the ability kick, so you just need more boots, so you can just keep kicking over and over and over again. And then you don't need weapons because you keep everything stunned, so therefore you're fine.
I am using like 385 on my weapons.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah, it's sad. It's super sad. Do you know how many plans I have as far as, like, how to improve that situation? The answer is 0. I have no plans on how to improve this situation.
Here's the really sad thing is the best thing that I can offer as a legitimate way to get a new weapon is just watch the emissary dailies. Like, that's all you can do. That's the only place to get them. And depending on your item level, you're going to get the same item level unless you get up to like 405, and then you'll start getting like higher drops or something.
I'm at 399 right now.
Oh, you're just about at that threshold, I think. I think you need one more point in order for that to happen.
You know what? I have better gear. Like, problem is I'm listening to Gentlemanly Robots for optimization. I need to just make that number get bigger. I can do that. I have enough gear with me. I can just make that happen. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Because, oh my gosh, Ben.
And now, John, we're starting to talk about how I think secondary stats should completely go and item level should always be better. But that's a story for a different time. Because we've covered that a little bit.
Yeah, we need to get Manny back for that.
Yeah, so you can tell us how we're wrong. I mean, so here's the big thing. Like, I would love to see, content that works for everybody in some ways. Like, I don't know if that means that damage that healers do is buffed when they're not in a party or something to kind of like main level it. But I mean, that's going to be exploited somehow, like insanely so. So that's not the way to do it. I don't know. Maybe I just really need to just, go for it and work on a DPS spec.
Let me ask you something, Ben.
Sure.
Let's get therapeutic. Let's bring it down a little bit here.
Okay. I'm bringing it down.
Benjamin?
No. No, Jonathan. No.
If you were done with raiding, something I know you flirted with in the past, if you decided to say, you know what, my time is a precious commodity, like a gemstone from the sea.
like a diamond of the ocean or something?
Yeah. And you decided, hey, you know what? I'm done with this raiding thing. Would your character still be a healer monk? Or would you be switching to another class, another spec? Put yourself in those shoes. You don't have to raid. You don't have to answer to anybody. The World of Warcraft is your oyster to do with what you will. What is your character?
That's a really good question. So, I'm going to walk you through this.
Okay.
I will say that I've been kind of working on my mage to level her up so I can get the Silver Moon, the Blood Elf Heritage armor, because it's really cool. I've got to do that. And I've enjoyed going through and just blowing stuff up as a mage. I miss that. That's a lot of fun. I really am excited to go in and play my Fury Warrior, because that's just a fun class overall. Like, tons of fun to play. Just to make you smile, I'll say that I want to play a rogue.
Yeah.
That's low on the list, but
best class. Ben, what if all the problems you described here today went out the window?
If I wasn't raiding though, here's the thing though, I really love my monk, like, a lot. I like the fact that I'm essentially invincible when I'm out soloing. As a healing monk, and I don't mind like the slow pace when I'm questing and going through story driven stuff and everything. When I'm doing dailies is when I just kind of like, when you're doing the chores, that's when I have an issue with how long it can take. So I don't know. That's a really tough question.
I like this. Here's what we do, listeners. I want all of you to either tweet or email or send us your predictions of what Ben's going to do. I don't know if he's going to raid next expansion.
I don't know if I'm going to raid next expansion.
He doesn't know. This could be a next expansion sort of deal. Mm-hmm. This could be a tomorrow deal. This could be a not for a very long time deal. But send your predictions on where he lands, and I'm curious to see who wins this thing.
Yeah, like, if it were to be right this second, like, let's say that healing is just off the table, like, there's no reason ever to heal, which...
Tetsemi sends you a message right now and says, Fert's disbanded, we're no longer raiding. It's not even a decision that you're making. You're done raiding.
See, I'm glad that you said that, as opposed to Tet sends you an email right now and says, F off.
Okay.
That first I would have cried, because that doesn't sound like him, and I must have done something really bad.
He started hassling me the other day. He's like, John, what are you doing on? I was like, I've been playing for like the last week straight, Tet. Where have you been? Anyway, hi, Tetsemi.
Yeah, that's okay. It's okay.
Anyway, sorry. If it was right now...
If it was right this second, I think I might play my Fury Warrior for a while.
Yeah.
Because I gotta say, it's just those animations. I know I keep going off on it every single time I talk about it, but they're just so good.
They're good. I love my Fury Warrior. I love her so much. She's the best.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
just friggin' barrels into people. Just friggin' shoulder tackle.
Just the swing kick, like both just yeah. She's great. But, I mean, just to give you an idea, I was just like, I know something that Ted was hunting for a really long time was those Manaroth tusk shoulders that you get off of Heroic Gary.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I guess if I would try them. So I'm like, grab my Fury Warrior, just go into Heroic Siege of Orgrimmar. I'm just going through, just destroying stuff, having so much fun. Just, it's the best, right? And then I get to Gary, I kill him, I'm like, yeah, the shoulders don't drop. I'm like, that's awesome, because this was fun. I'm like, I've got a paladin too, why not? So then I bring my paladin there, and it's not as fast paced, not as cool, but still pretty fun. Because I gotta say, so as a ret paladin, my favorite thing is essentially like the Thor hammer throw that you do. Mm-hmm. Just because it looks so cool.
Yeah.
Like, it's no longer a hammer that just falls from the sky. You actually like go,
yeah,
which
and it
used to be a finisher
out.
Like, way back when. Yeah. So didn't get the tusk yet, so I'm actually kind of excited to just go back and keep running that until I get those, because they're cool looking. I'll probably never transmog them, but I like the idea of being able to if I need to. But yeah, Fury Warrior, man, it's like I'm thinking that if I do raid next expansion, like, okay, so here's the thing, and I'm not saying it happens a lot. In fact, it happens very rarely, very, very rarely. But if there's ever a time where anyone in raid complains that they didn't get enough healing, I am about to just throw everything. Like, you know me, usually I'm a very composed person. I'm usually pretty good. Sometimes I get really irritated on, like a frustrating fight or something like that. But yeah, if anybody mentions like, I wasn't getting enough heals, or like, like somebody's basically commenting and saying how the heals are bad, I lose it. Just absolutely lose it. Like, I will just stop talking the rest of the night. I just can't. Because you know what? Healing is hard.
Uh-huh.
And we have to make decisions.
As I'm sure he will one day be named, undoubtedly, the great sage Kyle Ferguson once told me.
Why isn't he named that already?
I mean, he really deserves to be. Dude's got wisdom of the ages.
Like, he should just write fortune cookies.
I'm not going to get this exactly right, but I will say that this was the gist of what he said, and it was Heroes related, but it applies to World of Warcraft too. And it was, if somebody says, I wasn't getting enough healing, you ask them, what steps were you taking to prevent the necessity for healing? Because that's the best healing you can receive, is not demanding any.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
You got to think about your healer's resources, and if you're abusing the healer's resources, if you're being a burden by requiring more healing than anybody else, doesn't matter. You're that extra healing. That's the biggest hurt.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the problem is.
Because I will say, like I was about to say, healers make decisions every single time they choose a target. If you're not a tank, which they need to stay alive, and if you're not a healer and they need to stay alive, and you're taking way more damage than both of those, it's not going to happen.
Yeah,
we try, but at some point, it's like, if I have to make the decision of, hey, I keep this fight going because I'm still alive, or I keep you alive and you can just DPS a little bit more and then die because I died first, guess which one I'm going to do. Yeah.
I've seen what happens. I've intentionally made the healers angry and had them swear off healing me, and those fights go way different when that happens. That doesn't go well. You shouldn't make your healers mad.
I will say, though, sometimes smart heals make it really hard to punish someone. Yeah. Or if you're in the whole mentality of, okay, let's keep everybody alive mode, and you forget that you're not healing John. I mean, whoever offended.
Let me tell you, nothing will get you on the healer's shit list faster than they see that you're clearly not helping fight trash. So for anybody that's like, why wouldn't they heal John? 1, I'm DPS. 2, I don't help them fight trash. And 3, I generally have a bad attitude in raids.
Yeah, I will say that your name is still brought up multiple times every raid tier about, oh yeah, I'm just going to be like John and not fight trash right now. I'll be right back. Just stuff like that all the time. You really left your mark.
I'm glad I have a legacy.
Is it the one you want to leave?
I still have people to this day. I mean, it's not like it's a mystery who it is. Scott told me he heard about that. And he didn't believe it was true. He didn't believe that he thought it was just an inside joke, and then he remembered, like, the first time he was on a raid. Oh, actually, did Carter raid with you guys before?
I don't think so.
Because I think the story might have been that somebody told him. Somebody ran with us. I thought it was Carter. But anyway, somebody ran with us, and it was a raid I was in, and they went to Scott and said, no, that thing about John's true. He really doesn't fight trash.
In all honesty, it could have just been him joining us one night. Because, very rarely, but it does happen. And there have been times when he's come where you haven't.
Yeah, so it's true. I changed when other people started doing it too. Then I started fighting trash because it's all fun when one person does it, and then as soon as a bunch of people start doing it, then first of all it becomes a problem, and second of all it's less charming. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, because then people get pissed.
So I changed my ways, but every now and then there would just be times of, if trash tended to respawn between wipes or something like that, that was definitely the time where I was like, I'm going to go get a snack right now. Just get up and walk away from the computer. I was like, the rationale in my mind, and this is definitely not a team player rationale, I don't recommend anyone else think this way, wasn't my fault we wiped. So I'm not cleaning up the trash that we now have to fight to get there.
Wow. Yeah, that's... gosh, should that episode's title just be don't take John's advice?
Don't take John's advice is pretty good. Universally, that's good advice to take. I support it, but I don't know what you do now in that case.
All joking aside, you have some pretty darn good advice.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, look, my Twitter profile, I believe, reads, I've been wrong about everything so far, and I have no plan on stopping, and it's pretty true.
Yeah, well, you know what? I will say that your movie and video game recommendations are usually spot on. So
yeah, actually, it's funny. My parents have been on a real, I gave them, they were watching a bunch of shows, and they said, we need new shows. And I recommended some stuff to them, and they're like, I don't know. I was like, just trust me, just give it a try. And they watched some show that I recommended. They loved it. And they're like, we need another show. I gave them another show, apparently another home run. I gave them another show, apparently another home run. And now I am at the top of the mountain as far as they're concerned, as far as quality of entertainment experiences, because I got 3 hits in a row. And I was like, don't thank me, thank quality television.
No kidding.
But anyway. Yeah, you know what? Go out there and find out for yourselves. If you don't trust that Mechagon's the best, go out and try it for yourself. And I will say, I
will, John.
The cool thing is that both zones exist. I still think it's weird that both zones exist. I still feel like we're in a weird petri dish expansion where Blizzard is poking and prodding us and going, well, what happens if we do this? What happens if we do this? But it is cool to see the people that are so adamant that Nazjatar is amazing and have that ability to have that zone, and the people who are so adamant that Mechagon is amazing and have that zone. And I know there's people in between, people who hate both, people who like both. That's all fine. But that both of those audiences can have something that serves them, because they're clearly 2 very different audiences. Because if you go to me and you try to tell me why Nazjatar's great, you might as well be telling me why it's a good idea to pour salt in your eye socket and wash it out with vinegar, because it seems insane to me. Anyone who defends Nazjatar, I'm just going to tell you, I just think you're crazy. I think you're crazy to a degree where my response is typically like, oh yeah, well, I saw Nazjatar flip off a playground of kids. Do you still think it's cool? Like, I don't even want to have a rational...
That was an accident.
Well, you still did it. I don't even want to have like a rational discussion about it, because it seems so crazy that you like it. That, like, why would I even take the time? And I'm sure that's how my love of Mechagon sounds to Nazjatar fans. It's like, how is it even possible that you think that's a good thing? So, clearly 2 very different audiences, and I'm happy that they both get something to enjoy.
And, again, it just goes to show that Blizzard did a fantastic job with this patch. You know, some would even say that it's enough content to be an expansion by itself.
Some would say that.
Yeah, but I mean, 2 zones for the... low price of 0 to us. That's
$15 a month, Ben.
Oh, sorry, $15 a month.
It is not
close enough.
And believe me, they'll take it even if you're not currently playing. They don't care.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they'll
Gosh,
still.
I would have thought that they'd be like, oh, he hasn't logged in for 3 days. Let's suspend this for a little bit.
We noticed you weren't playing. We don't want that money.
But no, Blizzard did a great job with this last patch. Like, even if it's something that, you know, even if you don't like any of it, you have to admit that they put a lot in there for a huge player base, so that a lot of people like different parts of it, if not all of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not perfect. Petri dish experiment patches rarely are. I'm curious to see what we get.
It's no selfie camera, John.
Yeah, it's way better than that. I'm curious to see what we get out of all of this. And, you know, things are about to get crazy. I mean, we're about to be at the end of the war campaign. That's happening sooner than maybe expected.
Excited about that, but, oh man, we're at the end of the show. I can't really talk much about this with you.
Well, Ben, next week, maybe we should talk about the war that apparently happened.
Or what about the Shadowlands? Before we go, though, I just feel like I'm very proud, and I want to share with you that Fert beat... Well, I can't think of her name. Ashara. There we go. Couldn't think of her name. We beat her. I'm just like, forget her. I don't care anymore.
Beat. That's it. That's the show. See y'all next week.
Avengers? Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
No, we actually beat Ashara. It was pretty awesome. That fight is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
There's plenty going on in that fight, especially one where you could destroy the entire raid, John. If you're not careful, you alone could kill the entire raid.
Hold on. I think I want to run with you guys.
I know you do. guess who's not going to be getting heals?
Ah, shit.
Yeah. Thanks for a third one. I'm probably not going to bleep out that.
It's
Maybe.
just shit. You can say shit all the time.
Ah, damn it.
They said shit on TV. How many times? Like on South Park? Shit isn't even a bad word anymore. Like,
but we're not South Park. We are marked explicit though, so that's not too bad. But anyways,
shit's fine. Everybody shits. That was my favorite book growing up.
That is that one's read by Samuel L. Jackson, right?
Shit, yeah.
John, thank you so much for joining me on this week of Azeroth Roundtable. I'm glad that you're back.
Yeah, it was fun. Hopefully you didn't think it was shitty.
Where can people find you, John?
Hey, if you think I could use more of that shit, you follow me on Twitter at John_Jagger. See the random shit that just comes out of my mouth that I throw up on the internet. But if you say, John, man, you talking about WoW is pretty cool, but I'd like to hear about the other shit you get up to when you're not in the world of Warcraft. Well, I got a show for you. It's called Core. It's a video game podcast.
No, hold on. Let's try that again. I should be more enthusiastic.
It's called Core.
Shit!
Yeah! It's a fun video game podcast. We also play Dungeons and Dragons on There Will Be Dungeons. That's a D&D show that I play. Also part of the Frog Pants Network.
You really get up to some crazy shit in that.
Oh, shit just got real after this last episode. I mean, shit went down, and it was pretty shitty for a while. So, therewillbedungeons.com. You can find out about all that shit. Ben.
Yes.
I am not the only person with other shit going on. You have got your shit together in a way that allows you to do many projects that are not shit. They are, in fact, fine podcasts. Why don't you tell the other people where they can find that?
Thank you. Thank you for not adding it at the end there. But also, that's probably one of the nicest things you've ever said about anything I do. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, I'm not always shitty.
Anyways, if you're looking for more from me, you can find me on Twitter. I am at Ben Baumhofer. I do a show with Eludra called Box Fort, where we just kind of geek out about stuff. We're going to be recording an episode of that, another episode of that very soon here. Check it out on all your podcast platforms and whatnot. If you like Dungeons and Dragons, you know, the thing that John was talking about earlier, I do a show with Ryan Reeder called D&D Discussions, where we talk about kind of running a campaign, also playing in a campaign. We take a look at different topics and everything. There's a new episode of that coming out on Monday, so check it out. We talk about half of Dungeons and Dragons, meaning we talk about dragons.
The good shit.
But if you are wanting to hear things that would, sound like me playing Dungeons and Dragons, I didn't know where I was going with that, but that's what I'm doing. It was pretty shitty. But you can listen to that on +5 to Hit. I am on that with a couple other people, like, the previously mentioned Ryan. Ro is on that show as well. And also, Brian does a fantastic job DMing, so check that out. It's good stuff. Have a lot of fun. Other than that, this show, though, Azeroth Roundtable, you can find all of our shit on Twitter at AzerothRT, as well as on AzerothRoundtable.com, which you can find links to our Discord if you want to talk to us. Our emails are there, like AzerothRoundtable@gmail.com, where you can send all of your questions, comments, anything that you want to tell us about Mechagon, if you have predictions on what I would play if I stopped raiding. And, of course, if you want to catch us live, you can check us out on twitch.tv/AzerothRT. Generally, we record Friday nights. Check out the Twitter to find out when that is.
Hey, everybody. Here we are at the end of the show. And this is the part where I step in to tell you how you can support the show, because we appreciate it. Because that's what a lot of you do, and that's how we're able to put out this quality content for you. And you can enjoy all the stuff that we get up to on a week-to-week basis. So, that address is dramatically patreon.com/AzerothRT. That's where you can go to become a patron and support us and help us out. Each week we like to give a shout out to our fabulous patrons, specifically those in the Murloc Club, for going above and beyond for all this crap that we do. A big thank you to Aaron, Brandon O, Haster, Jesse O, Caleb M, Kilroy Tastic, and Taryn. Thank you so much for supporting us.
That's right, John. Thank you very much, chat room. Thank you, patrons. John, it has been an absolute pleasure. And until next time, everybody, be good to each other.
Don't be shitty.
And that is a podcast. I'm going to go in and I'm going to bleep every single one of those because it is going to be hysterical. That's going to suck, but worth it.
It will be worth it in the end.
What I should do is not censor the fuck that you said around 37 minutes or so.
And then just censor everything else.
Yeah, I can't do that, though. But,
I need to stop the recording. Hold on.
No! Shit!
Shit! Shit!